It's time for us to take back our communities and create unity. Community vibes with BrownEyes. Come take a walk with me. Community vibes with BrownEyes. Get it, King T finesse. We hit the streets running. You know we coming. Building with knowledge to inform, to bring the love in. It's the unity in our community. Reform, move on to be strong. It takes you and me. Bring the issues, let's talk about it. Make a plan, bring it to life and never doubt it. To inspire, keep you going higher. Words put to action, fuel to the fire. Life gets better when we do it together. BrownEyes, King T, finesse, time to get up. Get up. For everyone, the best. Hit it, King T, finesse. Join in and catch the vibe. Hello, 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 hello. And welcome to Community Vibes with BrownEyes. We got another great, wonderful, and awesome episode for you guys. I thank you for tuning in and for joining the community and wanting to learn more information and more ways in how you can get involved and be a part of great things that's being done in our community for benefit and for change, because that is what we need. But before we get started, I just want to say that Community Vibes with BrownEyes is a project that was designated to reach into the depths of the community to shine light on those who are often overlooked. People like leaders, activists, advocates, nonprofit organizations, music artists, visual artists, and young people. People just like you and me who used our skills and our gifts and just our wish to change things, to step out in the community and take a chance to create change and create benefit and resources for those around us. So that's what Community Vibes is all about, and it is our wish that we would come together with others to not only just discuss the things that's going on, but to highlight all of the great work that is being done in our community, because there's a lot of great work being done by the residents and ordinary people together with the politicians and the nonprofits and other people to create great things for us. So I'm thanking y'all to be here. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming in. I also want to give a shout out to my supporters that are, I'm sure, watching. I want to give a shout out to Shalik from the Beach Shop Studios in Newark, New Jersey. Minx Gold in South Orange, New Jersey for all your accessories. And also Connect Us Youth Program in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Thank y'all all for always supporting me and to keep me going so that I can continue to do this great work. But we got a great person today, a guest here today. I don't even feel like he's a guest. But before I go, I want to introduce you to who I have in the room with me today. I can't go any further. We got, of course, you know, our great music extraordinaire, Mr. King T Finesse, the master of music. You're listening to a master.
You are watching a master at
Yeah,
work.
there we go, there we go, there we go. And then, to my right, okay, your left, I have an extraordinary person that came on here that has so much about him. I'm sure you're going to love him and learn so much from him. He's not only a resident of New Jersey, but he is a professor of sociology. He is also running for congressman for the District 10 in New Jersey. He's also been in the community for a very long time as a director of the Africana Institute and so many other things that he has learned and experienced we're going to learn about tonight. I want y'all to welcome Dr. Akil Khalfani.
Yes. How y'all doing tonight?
Give it up.
Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Glad to be here.
Dr. Khalfani, I am so excited and so happy that you are here. Because you're the type of person that to come on Community Vibes with BrownEyes that I'm looking for, that people can learn from, that I can learn from, so that we can spread the word, share the information, and give people what they need to learn so they can grow and they can know, and then they can become better or do things to better our environment. So I am so very happy that you joined us, because, you know, when I was younger, I always had a love for community. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Tough city. Yeah. It was very poor. It was a lot of crime. It was a lot of things like what's going on today. But as a little girl, even at 10 years old, I used to look at all the adults and elders in the community, and I was always inspired by what they did to create things for the young people in the community, to create things for the elderly, and all kinds of people in the community, things that we could use, things where we can get food if we didn't have it, the resources. And I've always connected myself to people in the community because that's what makes the community go around, and we all need each other. So I'm sure that you have a lot of things that you can tell me about in terms of your upbringing and what inspired you and who inspired you to do what you're doing. But before we do that, I got a video that I want to show to introduce who you are and some of the things that you did.
Okay.
Let's watch that video.
Hello, this is Akil Khalfani, and I'm running for U.S. Congress. I'm standing here in front of this bridge in Newark to represent the Edmund Pettus Bridge that he fought going over and was brutalized. But now we know that today we will not accept any kind of brutalizing that's going on in our community. We're going to stand up to racial injustice. We're going to stand up to socioeconomic injustice. We're going to fight for peace and liberty for people in our community and for the 10th Congressional District. We are continuing to push, and we're not going to let anything or anyone stop us. We're going to stay in this until we're successful. That success is something that we see that is a collective thing, and that success means not just getting in office, but really making some systemic changes to the things that are going on in Congress, and not just for Americans, but pushing around the world and pushing for a positive upliftment, positive elections, positive the treatment of people around the world. United States. We're going to keep pushing for justice, for equity, and for inclusion, right? So we're making sure that we're going to keep these ideas ever present. We're going to fight for the environmental issues. The environment is extremely important, not just to me, but to our constituents. And so as these issues are important to everybody, we're going to make sure that we can continue to press the pedal to the metal on these issues, so that the people know that they have an advocate, that I'm going to continue to advocate for the people on these issues.
All right.
I tell you, this is a powerful brother sitting next to me. Let me move over. There might be too much energy going on.
No, come on over, Simba. Come on over.
We gotta come on over, get some of this energy.
Yes.
So I mean, like, you have done so many great things and been a part of so many things. I just want to hear a little bit, like, tell me, a lot of times we look at people, you're so professional, so well spoken, you're a spokesperson, like, tell me a little bit about the person before all of this.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, because I really want to connect with people on that level. It's interesting because I actually grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
I went to LA high school. So I lived in Los Angeles. Some people say they live in Los Angeles. They was in other places. No, I was in LA high school, grew up in LA. When you go watch Boys in the Hood, that's my neighborhood.
Wow. Was it really like that down there?
It was that and more, right?
Wow.
So yeah, it was tough. You know, I remember when I was in middle school, we called it junior high school back then.
Right. Look, I still call it junior high. Tell your age.
Right, exactly. So that in junior high school, you know, we grew up in a poor community. You know, my parents, nobody in my family had gone to college,
Right.
And so I'm a first generation college student. So you know, going through that experience gave me the opportunity to really look at what are some of the possibilities. Right. And you know, my father worked for the city. My mother worked she worked at a furniture company and for the telecoms. And then my grandfather was a sheriff, and my grandmother worked at the.
Wow.
My grandmother was the principal's secretary when I was in elementary school.
Oh, you couldn't act up in school. Grandmama was in the office.
I got swatted. Let's tell you how old I am, right? I got swatted in the 6th grade for talking in class.
Wow.
And then got sent to my grandmother in the principal's office.
Oh, yeah, those was the days when mama came and whooped you in front of the class. They can't do that no more. You know, those was those days. So.
No, actually, the teacher was the one who swatted me.
Oh,
that was back then when the teacher had paddles.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember those days too. I got hit in my hand with the ruler a couple of times because I went to Muhammad University of Islam when I first started school.
Okay,
growing up, my elementary experience.
Right.
And then I went into the regular public school system for junior high school. But I learned a lot, you know, as a young, person. I was always the one that had to hold out my hand and get popped with that ruler because I was talking like I am now.
Right. And all of our talking did good for us, right?
Yes, all of the talking did good now. You know, one thing I noticed about leaders and what you say, you grew up in LA and you said it was even more than what they show on Boys in the Hood. You know, I learned that people who grew up in those neighborhoods and they come out as leaders are very powerful. So, you know, I say to myself, you know, there's 2 ways you can go, you know, and that's why I like to talk to you about that, is because some young people are living, young black men are living in that type of environment now, and they don't see hope in their life. You know, they see violence and crime, and they need to hear from people like you that were there once.
Right.
And to build hope for them.
And they got to carve it out. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you can be in that same element, and you can see that that's the only possibility. But if you know that you got here, see, I'm running for this office because I know that somebody died for me to be here. Right. So that when I got my bachelor's, I went to the University of California, Santa Cruz. When I got my bachelor's in sociology, I gave a speech at graduation. I said that my BS degree is not a bachelor's of science; it's a bloodshed degree.
Wow.
You know, our ancestors died for us to be able to get educated. It was illegal for us to read and write.
Yes.
To know your letters and numbers.
Yes.
And so that we had the ability to go get an education.
Yes.
That we had to take that and own it in a way that proved to our ancestors that we were respectful of the sacrifices that they had been through.
Absolutely.
And so that's the thing that kind of burns in my spirit, that Harriet Tubman, you know, I mean, this is to me is really one of my key things.
Right.
If you think about Harriet Tubman, this is a sister who freed herself and then freed her family. She could have stopped.
And went back.
And been done.
Yes.
But continued to go back and continue to fight. So if under those conditions, somebody could continue to fight for us as a people, then who am I to have gone through the experience that I went to and not do something to fight for the people?
Right.
You know, so I feel as though if I don't do what I'm doing, that I'm a failure, that I'm a sellout to those who died. And I'm listening to the 1619 Project right now, that whole book, and oh my God, when you think about the struggles that our people have been through, the torture and the torment, that we've got to do something different. And this is a pathway to that. And I don't see it as the end all to be all, but I see it as a tool for us to make some changes in the community and in the world in which we live, because I see this as a global opportunity. You know, we'll get to talking about some of the travel that I've done and why I think this is important for us to think about things in that way, because I think we got to really connect the dots and not just look at use local as a tool for broadening our understanding of the world.
Absolutely. And you know, that is exactly what Community Vibes is. I did not want to do any type of project that limited me to one area. I wanted us to be able to come together from different communities, different ways we did things to accomplish things, different people, you know, come together to create together, no matter where we live, and to learn from each other, to grow from each one, teach one. You know, you don't have to be in Newark. You could be in Atlanta. You could be in in Africa, and
Yes.
it just zoom you in on a Zoom so we could talk about the community there as opposed to what we're going on here to figure out what we're doing as a whole, as a people as a whole. You know, so that's what Community Vibes represents. You know, the vibes of all communities coming together so that we could create change and benefit each other. You know, and a lot of people shockingly, you know, don't want to do that because you have a lot of people in the community that want to be the superhero of all. You know, like when I first came to Newark, New Jersey has a very tight-knit community. I'm from New York. I did a lot of my organizing in New York. And a lot of times when I was in the community organizing, people was like, well, who are you? You know, like, did you grow up around here? Like, where you come from? You know, like, we've been doing this. You know, like, okay, fine. You've been doing this here, and I was in New York doing it. Somebody else doing it now. Now I'm here, and I want to join y'all to help y'all make it happen. You know, there is not going to be any one superhero that's going to save the whole community.
Exactly.
It's too many issues.
Right.
So we need everybody.
Exactly.
So every time you see somebody that come out that want to get involved, you should get excited. Be like, another person we need.
Let's go.
You know, bring in. You got any more to come with you? You know, so we need that vibe. We need that, what you talking about, that togetherness, that unity to make it work. And with your traveling, you know, around the world, you got to tell me. So I know you went to Africa, you went to Nigeria. You know, I just found out in my DNA, I'm mostly Nigerian. I'm 82% African, and then I have some European in me. But most is from Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon. Okay. You know, 82%, and then my husband, he's Nigerian. Right. So I know I saw you on a show. It says you went to Nigeria. You got to tell me a little bit. What's the community?
It's interesting because I went to Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Ghana. I lived in South Africa for a little while, and I went to Botswana. So I've been to a bunch of different places in Southern and West Africa. Haven't been to East Africa or North Africa yet. That's next on the agenda.
Okay.
But so in Nigeria, I was there. I was invited by the Oni, who is the king of the Yoruba people worldwide.
Yes.
And so he invited me to come to something called the Olojo Festival. So I went to this festival. I got to speak. It must have been 40,000 people I got to speak in front of. It was a massive, massive crowd.
Drums,
dance. Yeah. It was beautiful. I mean,
spiritual.
And you think about the. People talk about palaces and you know that they see Africa in a particular way still to this day. But if you go there and you saw all the kings and queens and the chiefs that I saw there and the level of beauty and strength and power, you're like, oh my God, this is something other than I can imagine. Right. And so then bringing all that to fruition in terms of my experiencing was powerful. And so the Oni asked me to become a cultural ambassador to the Oni. So my official title is the Pan African Diaspora Ambassador to the Oni.
Wow! Give them a round of applause for that. That is powerful. That is awesome.
Yes.
To go to the motherland and get that title, that honor, that respect. I haven't been yet. I can't wait till I go. My husband is Yoruba. You know, and so I'm just, my lineage is Yoruba. You know, so I'm looking. You know, a lot of African Americans are finding their way back to some type of era of where their ancestors came from before they came here. So that's a great thing with this DNA thing. And just tell me, like, how did you feel when they were like, what was it a ceremony? Like, how did
it was huge ceremony. And this is a particular festival that celebrated a crown that the Oni, the king had, that is handed down for many generations for hundreds of years. And so then it gave us an opportunity to really kind of experience that in a powerful way. And you know, so that we and as a matter of fact, since your husband is Yoruba, I should start off by saying Modupwe, which means thank you in Yoruba.
And I would say alafia, everything is peace.
Yes, peace, alafia.
Yes, thank you. Oshe.
Yes. Ashe. Well, you know, a lot of people refer to me as the Ashe man because I do a lot of libations all over the place.
Yes, I was at one of your libations downtown, and I think I actually filmed that also. I couldn't find it to put it on the video.
Right.
You have done so many things. I could make a 2-hour $1 movie about, some of the things that he has done,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like the fact that you went to Africa and you talk about that, because growing up in this country, they taught us that Africa, all it was huts, poor people with big stomachs and, flies around their head. And, now you get a chance to see Africa for what it really, the beauty of what it is. It's like coming to America and showing them just the ghetto, and they think everything and everybody in Newark, New Jersey, or New York is like that.
Right. And that's the problem, is that we don't get a whole experience. And my thing is that in everything we do, first of all, my whole thing is developing solutions to social problems, and that everything we do, we have to do in a holistic fashion, right? We so many people do things in a piecemeal fashion, and that their experience and understanding is piecemeal. My thing is that how do we develop something that is holistic and present that way? So if you're going to talk about Africa, like when I was in South Africa, you still had first of all, they have like 11 official languages. So I studied Zulu and Afrikaans. So Ngikulume isi Zulu kancane, speak a little Zulu, and they can praat and understand the Biki Afrikaans, which is the language of the colonizer.
And he rolled his tongue so well. Hey,
Yeah, I lived there for about 6 months, so it gave me a great experience. But being in those places helped me to understand that the things that people try to talk about are really like these going, as you said, to one city in Delaware and thinking that's the whole representation of everything. But there's so much diversity. There's 11 languages in official languages in South Africa alone.
Right.
Nigeria has hundreds of languages.
Nigeria got 230 something different dialects.
And that happens all across the continent, everywhere you go. And then the rest of the world, the same thing is true. But we continue to think about things in ways that somebody has told us a narrative until we develop our own narrative of it, that we end up adopting somebody else's thing. And that's so I wrote this book called The Hidden Debate. Came out in 2005, and it looked at affirmative action in South Africa and the United States. And the thing about that was that we have to stop looking at solutions to these problems by looking at the surface. And that's really what I talk about in there. Is that I think that applies even to this congressional run, because so many times when you look at the bills and the things that people push, it really only addresses the surface, and it doesn't dig down and get at the core of the problem. And the core of the problem, to a great extent, is different interpretations about what equality means. Different interpretations of what you said, Alafia, peace. What does peace mean to different people? And what does their worldview help them to understand that? And we've got to bring in our worldview so that we're not only just using somebody else's narrative, but we bring our own thing into the table.
We bring our own thing.
Right?
And like what you said with the languages, I try to tell people here, even in America, if you go to Boston, if you go down south, if you go to Texas, you come here to New Jersey, everybody have their different dialect of English. They have they call it slang.
Right.
But it's the same thing in every other country. I mean, like, my husband told me that sometimes he speak to other Yoruba people. If he go to the village or somewhere, he might not understand what they're saying, because, or I'll go down south and they'll say, down yonder somewhere or something, use some slang, or Boston, I don't know what they're talking about. So, I mean, it's the same with different cultures in different areas in different places, but what we got to understand is that we all have a common, objective, is to create the things that we need to be successful and to get the things that we deserve in equality in this life. And that really means a lot. So some of your causes, I notice, is economics, and what I'm really deep on is really, really what people really don't know about, and that is the climate change. That is a serious issue that is causing a lot on people. I'm talking about from the food to the pollution, the water, our structures where people, flooding, and the weather. Destructive weather. So it's a very important topic. And then we're not even going to talk about the pollution that they put in poor communities, many black community, industrial, buildings that's emitting all of these carbon dioxide fumes up in the environment that's causing the earth, the global warming to overheat, which is causing the oceans to swell and the weather to be devastating to us. And they're saying, according to what I've learned, is that it's getting worse if we don't stop doing what we're doing, because it's a human cause for the planet rejecting us. So I noticed that you had that on there, and you tell me a little more about that.
Well, let me just say that first of all, I have three major things we're talking about, right? So the economy, recovery, and the last one, but equally important, is equality. So I think, and many of them overlap. But I'll move first into the piece you're talking about in terms of the environment. That a lot of people who are running for office, they keep talking about the Green New Deal. And I say that sounds good, and I agree with some aspects of it. But the way, first of all, it's the Green Party's party platform. So just to say that you adopt that just straight off the cuff is not suggests to me that you haven't read the thing. I read through it thoroughly and understand that there's some other pieces in it that are good, but are never going to pass as legislation because it's too broad, right? So they have a whole bunch of social justice issues and other things that are in it that are good in some other places on legislation. Right. But in terms of looking at the environment, I say first and foremost, we've got to talk about in New Jersey in particular. Most people don't know this, but New Jersey in particular has more toxic sites than any place in the entire United States.
Yes. And
the Superfund sites which are the major cleanup sites in New Jersey are numerous. Yes. And then you talk about there's a whole thing about all the power plants. There's the sewage, not sewage, but the trash incinerators.
Yes.
All of these things. And what's downwind from that is places like Elizabeth and in our district or Roselle Park, and all these places downwind from the airport and from the port, and all these things.
Ironbound is going through a lot.
Ironbound. So all of these areas
was bad. I used to work in a toxic dioxin plant down in Ironbound back in the 80s.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people has gotten lung cancer, COPD, asthma, because all of these pollutants in the air.
Well, and if we just think about it in the water, though, from Agent Orange being produced up the Passaic River, right, and the Passaic and the Rahway, both of them have contamination in them. So we need the EPA just gave some additional money to New Jersey, but I think that when we talk about the money that's being invested, we've got to just allocate and spend that money so that we really bring about some systemic change. Yeah. I think Newark did a good model for the lead pipe removal, right?
Yes, I remember they were doing that.
That was that they spent the money and they got they have bonds or loans to pay that they have to pay for now. But I think that there needs to be a federal movement to address lead water lines throughout the entire country. Because some people would try to make it just like it's a Newark issue. Yeah. No, it's in the entire United States, especially where there's older construction, which is in urban areas for the most part.
Yes.
Right. So all of these urban areas, you go to Irvington, you go to East Orange, you go to Lodi, you go to all these places in older communities, you're going to find lead pipelines, and what that is just from the street to the house is that pipe, because it goes through, it's so much movement. It was back in the day, it was easy to manipulate lead water lines to be able to put them there. So that's what was used because it's other kinds of water lines may have been more difficult. But once you find out that the lead is there, we need to have a national legislation to remove lead water lines throughout the entire United States.
We had the best water in the country in Newark.
Well, I read an article recently that said we don't. Years
ago, you go back to the 80s, they would always say, Newark has the best water.
Right. Yeah, maybe they did back then, but a lot of things have polluting the air, the water. Passaic River is ridiculous. A lot of toxic waste is dumped there because we have a lot of waste from, our lives. We have a lot of waste, and then they're getting rid of the plastic bags. And I know the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I know a lot of people in the community that are unaware, such as myself, was unaware. Like, why are they getting rid of all the plastic bags? Now we got to walk out with no bag, you got to buy a paper bag. Why? But when I read about the danger that we're in because of global warming and the climate change, like we could all be in serious trouble. I'm talking about agricultural crops, because of storms destroying our food, so we won't have a lot of food. Plastics, making people have to move because the water is rising and flooding areas and totaling properties and
there's
things like that.
There's plastic islands in the ocean, right? There's so much plastic that. We just, we take its usage for granted,
Yeah, it gets in our food and everything.
In your food and your liver. They found recently that there's microplastics in people's lungs. So that all of these things that microplastics, that's like when it's been churned over by the water and the environment for many, many years, sometimes decades, that little bitty teeny tiny pieces that you couldn't see with your own eye, but it gets small enough so they could go into the air, into your lungs, into the fish, and so now you're eating fish, and they got all the microplastics in them. And so now all of this stuff is contaminating all the planet.
Everything.
It's a contaminated planet.
Well, we've got to come up with another solution.
So y'all hear that out there? When you see these stores and everybody getting rid of these plastic bags, don't be like me. Unaware, unknowing, why can't I get it? What happened to the bags? Who made up this crazy idea?
May 5th we go.
This is to save our lives for the future. This is so that we won't get sick. We won't get stuff in our lungs. We got a lot of work to do on climate change, and this is what Dr. Akil Khalfani is working on. Just one of the things. There's so many things in the community that we need to work on. Besides that, but I know a lot of people. They like me don't even know who the mayor of their city is. They don't know the structure of the government. A lot of people will vote for the presidency because that's the big run, but the local and all the other levels, they don't know. Like you running for Congress, and I learned that Congress, they are the ones who make the law.
Exactly, and that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because without Congress, there are no laws. The president doesn't write laws. The Congress is the one that writes laws.
Executes them.
Exactly. Now, sometimes they may suggest a law and have Congress members to work on a law that the president wants.
Right.
But without the Congress drafting them, there are no laws that be made. And then they start off in committee, then they move to Congress as a whole, and then it moves to the Senate, and then the Senate goes, and then there's a joint committee, and they have to argue out or discuss what is going to become, and then finally, once it's gone from the House to the Senate, then it goes to the president. Right. And the president can either sign it or not sign it, right? So
and then the judicial, their part, they just evaluate the laws. Let me show you a little chart up here, the governmental structure, so people could get a bird's eye view on what that structure looks like. So we're gonna show this for you guys, because as you can see, you have the Congression, and you have the Senate, and then the House, and then you have the executive, which is the president in the middle, vice president and his cabinet, and then you also have the judicial branches. So I just wanted to show this to give a little breakdown of the level, and then we got so many other levels. If you see the next slide, it shows you the whole thing from the federal, which the state is under. Then you have the Congress and the local people. I can't see it with my eyes closed like that, but this is the structure. It's so small. I need my glasses.
well, I'll just say it real quick, so that you got the first of all, you have the federal level, right?
Yes.
And so then that's all the major laws that are on there, and then you have the state, and so then the state. Most people don't know this, but the state charters the municipalities, so that the municipalities don't exist without the state chartering them. So in fact, if the state wanted to, it could revoke your charter, and your municipality could no longer exist.
Wow.
And then the county is over, say, it depends on each county, but they're over, say, anywhere from maybe 15 to 20, 22, 23 different municipalities. And then you have each municipality underneath that. And each one of those has different structure. Right. Most of them in New Jersey are under something called the Faulkner Act. And that Faulkner Act is how it determines their structure, and then you have a strong mayor and a weak mayor. So there's all these different configurations. That's why some of them are cities, some are boroughs, some are townships, right? So you have all these different things within the local level, but local level also has certain things we have what's called home rules. So local level has certain things they can do that the county, the state, or the federal can't intervene in, because the home rule is they know what's going on in the municipal level. And so then I'll give you an example. For instance, you have a street that runs through more than one municipality, and then or city, and then that actually becomes a county road. And so then some people don't know that this county road that goes through 3 or 4 different cities, that the municipalities can't do much on that road. That the county actually has to do. The county paves it. The county is the one that cleans the snow on it, puts the salt down on it, and the municipality is not the one that's responsible for that. So when there's a problem, and that's you want to get a pothole fixed on that particular road. If it's a county road and not a municipal road, then the municipality can call the county, but they're not the ones who are actually responsible.
You see? Now, when we don't know these things, we look around in our neighborhood killers and we see all these issues, you know, and that's why I tell people it's very important. You don't have to dedicate your whole world. Everybody wasn't meant to be frontline soldiers. I get that, you know, but you need to know, I mean, just to watch this show, to hear, you know, that so you can figure out where you need to start looking for whatever it is you're looking for in your direct community. Now, tell me, you are running for District 10.
Yes.
What does that cover? What
good.
cities and towns?
So when you look at the 10th district, it actually changed some from the redistricting. So in every 10 years, there's a census. And the census is largely used for allocating money back to the district or to the state, and then also for determining where the population is, so that's how they get how many Congress people they get in each state. Okay. And so then the states are divided up, or in terms of that, to create those districts. And so they do what's called gerrymandering, which means that the states are not divided evenly. So you can okay, this municipality, no, you cross this street, even though it's in the same city, you're in two different counties. Yeah. you know, so sometimes it's kind of confusing because that's the way it plays out.
Well, that gerrymandering had a lot to do with the racial divide in terms of you know, where we were going to live as a people, and even till today, they still gerrymander and have those red lines, you know, so that you can't, you know, make it unaffordable for you or not for you to be able to live there or be there. They got these sectioned off, and that's been since slavery days.
So there's a pro and a con to gerrymandering, and on one side, if they didn't do the gerrymandering, that there wouldn't be districts that are have enough African Americans or Latinos in it to actually get a congressperson that you could vote for. Okay. And so then part of the gerrymandering has been utilized to create districts where there would be enough folks in there. Because if you just did the municipality, then you might, like, that's why Newark is cut in half. Okay. So you know, part of Newark is in the 10th, and part of it is in the I think it's in the 8th. Okay. And then so that you know, our district covers West Orange, Orange, East Orange, Irvington, now Verona. What else? We used to cover part of Bloomfield, no longer in Bloomfield. Part of Montclair we cover. Wow. All the way up to Essex Fells and Caldwell, and so that's all in about half of Newark.
And that changes every so often.
10 years, every 10 years.
Every 10 years. You know, I need to do a whole entire show just talking about how this divide is, the county, you know, from the bottom to the top to the bottom. Yeah, no, so people can understand the way the environment is set up. Because I don't even know a lot of this stuff, you know, talking about it and how to look at it when you're looking at a map or anything. This stuff is important to know. It is. You know, so I love presenting that. So let
me just give you the other part. So then that's Essex County. Then we have Hudson and Union County. Right. So in Hudson County, it's only half of Jersey City. Whereas it used to be part of Jersey City and part of Bayonne. We no longer have Bayonne. That's in the 11th district now. Okay. And then over in Union County, we have Union, Hillside, Roselle Park, part of Linden, Garwood, and Kenilworth. And so then, and I think that maybe there's one more, but those are kind of the areas in which we cover at this point.
So you'll be on the ballot in Kenilworth.
Yes.
Okay. He's in the ballot in Irvington.
I'll be looking for him this time.
Are you in Kenilworth?
Yeah, I'm in Kenilworth.
I'm about change. If you're about change, Akil is about, Dr. Khalfani is about change. And, you know, and when you say you're about change, I'm what you're thinking. I'm tired of going to meetings and hear people from the community coming there, we need to do this, and this is the solution, and this and that. I'm the one who in the meeting say, okay, so when are we meeting after this, or what is the next step after this, so we could progress in this change and not just keep coming back here for the next 20 years talking about this is the solution and this is the way, and we still in the same predicament.
Well, see, that's important that you raise that point, because my whole thing is that, look, I'm a professor, right? I teach sociology. Been teaching and studying and reading on race relations and all these social problems for more than 20 years now. And my thing is that, okay, take that knowledge and now let's develop these solutions and implement them. And our motto is that we are the change. So it's not about me, Akil Khalfani, right? It's about we, the people, and that after winning, because we're going to win.
We're going to win. Give me some winning sound. We going to win. We going to win.
That's right.
And if you win, we going to win.
You know that's right. So when we win, that's not the end. That's just the beginning, actually. See, that's how I see it, is that I need all the people, we need to do podcasts after we win to be talking about what the things we're going to do so that we rally the people, because I'm going to be in a battle with a bunch of folks. It's a whole, I know, I've been on boards and things of that nature. I know that you go there, one vote, you don't always going to get what you want.
Right.
But if you bring all the people with you that you are working on this issue with together, then we know that together, collectively, we're going to actually do something, because we're going to make the people hear us.
And that's what I'm talking about. We need you. We need me. We need the people. Because even when he wins, or any person that gets in office, they need the community to rally around them, because numbers mean everything.
Exactly.
You think your voice don't mean nothing? No. When you are for what a person is fighting for you, you need to rally around them, let your voices be heard, vote, and campaign for them, and be a part of it, so you can be a part of that change.
Yes.
And be a part of it. And that's what we need. So I really appreciate that, and I'm really looking forward. We got to make a time where I could go out and do some. I went out with the Being About God's Business, who I interviewed at the last show, to feed the homeless, or the houseless rather. And it was very, very overwhelming for me to go out there to see what's going on in our communities. But I don't just talk to people on my shows.
Yeah.
I go out and be a part of whatever they're doing when I can, so that I'll also be out there, get that experience, and also be a part of that change. So me and you gotta figure out a time. I want to hand out some cards. And this brother right here is from the community.
That's right.
He's doing this. So make sure you check that box.
That's right.
And it's a great thing, because that way we'll get them a part of it. But I want to move into some politicking about music, and then we'll be right back with King T Finesse. We're gonna have a little moments in music with King T Finesse as we break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. It's time for Moments in Music with King T Finesse. Give it up for King T Finesse.
Hey everybody, this is King T Finesse and Moments in Music. I'm just going to go over a few things about the parts of music and politics you should know about. Digital music. We have streaming. We have live touring industry. We have licensing and syncing. Artist management, music publishing, radio play, and legal, having a lawyer. And that's things you need to know in the politicking of music. If you're going to be into the music business, these are things you should know. You should have your plan in order and know what you want to do with your plan. And execute your plan.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what? We're going to have a whole show based on the politics of music, so y'all can stop signing these record deals and getting these contracts with these crooked management, taking your money and not knowing. Just like we don't know about the politics of our community, we need to learn the politics of music, because a lot of us has lost a lot from the music industry. So we're going to do that. Thank you, King T Finesse, for those pointers. And we're going to bring it back to Dr. Akil Khalfani. Look at it, I'm twisted up. I got look, between the power of music and the power of politics, I can't even speak no more. But Dr. Akil Khalfani, I want you to tell me, like, how can people get involved with what you're doing? Like how can people find you? Yeah. How can people, if they want to contact you, if they want to get involved with your campaign, they want to get involved financially, let us know, how we can find you.
Yeah. So the easiest way is just to go to the website, which is www.akilkhalfani. That's AKILKHALFANI.com. So they can do that, and they can get right into what we're doing. And that'll help them and help us to build. And we want to continue to work with people. They can also send us an email at info@akilkhalfani.com.
info@akilkhalfani.com. Okay.
Are you running as a Democrat?
I'm running as I'm running for so this is the primary coming up.
Right.
I'm running for the Democratic ticket. So we're getting ready to win the Democratic ticket, so that in November we're going to be the Democratic candidate for the party in the fall. Beautiful. Yes.
That is wonderful. So let the people know, when is this voting taking place? I know it starts the first week of June.
Yes, June the 7th. Actually, I'm glad you said that, because people who got mail, who want to vote by mail, that their ballots went out on April the 23rd. So they should they can vote right now.
Okay, so you can vote right now.
Yes,
if you want to look him up, if you want to research him to see what he's about before you decide, great brother, want to do some great things for our community, you should look him up and check him out and make your decision, and I'm sure you will, to check that box for Dr. Akil Khalfani.
Yes, indeed.
So I want to ask you a question. We got a little more time.
Well, let me just give you the there's two other times they can vote.
Okay, great.
So you got early voting, which is June the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th.
Okay.
And then you have regular voting, which is on June the 7th. So that's when
Okay.
everybody goes and
So they have the
regular.
early voting,
right?
and
And
then
there's
actual-
selected polling places during the early voting.
Okay.
And then during the regular voting, just come on out and tell 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 100 friends. Let them know.
I go
And
for
make
the
sure you
100.
register to
Yes.
vote.
That's right. In fact, registration is the last day is May the 13th. So
May the
they can-
13th.
they can
Get out
and they
there
can go
and
right to our
register.
website. We have a link on there where you can register in the state of New Jersey electronically. So they can go do online registration and just
Right.
go straight to the website www.akilkhalfani.com, and there's a link on there that says register, and then after you hit that registration button, just hit the button that says donate, and then you'll be good to go.
Right. So, Dr. Khalfani, what do you say to the brothers and sisters that are out here that's frustrated, they're disappointed, they're tired of the voter system being fraudulent,
Yeah.
and they feel like their votes don't count,
Right.
and they have just given up and said they're not going to be a part of this system anymore?
I say I understand your frustration, and when you look at that experience, that folks who have been engaged and maybe they voted in the past and they see the same type of thing happening. What happens is that when you don't vote, is that whatever happens, you voted for. Right. So the outcome of that, because if you're not engaged, it's like saying you want to play chess, but you don't want to move the next piece. So that means the other person is going to win automatically.
Right.
Right. So that you've got to be in it to win it.
Right.
And so I understand disenfranchisement, but there's two ways. So it takes me back to Harriet Tubman. It's two ways to do it. You can say throw your hands up, and you could have stayed enslaved. Or you could take the risk of freeing yourself and other people. And if you weren't successful in your trip back the first time, then you got to go back again. Right. And so then we've got to figure out that how do we create that drive, that desire in us, especially in this younger generation.
Right.
And that's why we're having a youth meeting coming up. So we got a youth meeting coming up with folks, and we're going to be doing stuff very differently than the folks who are in office right now. We're going to have regular town hall meetings in each municipality, and I'm not just saying go to the city council meeting. I'm saying go out to where the people are and talk to them on a regular basis, not just during election time, but just to find out what's going on and to make sure that the services that people need are being attended to.
Yes.
We're going to do the same with the mayors, right? So that the people out there now, when do they have a mayor's? I'm going to have a mayoral roundtable at least once or twice a year.
Well, that's
so that
beautiful.
we're talking with all the mayors in the district and finding out how do we better provide services and making sure that when we come back to the places that we are, that things are addressed equitably. And I want to just touch real quick on the piece about equity. I look at criminal justice reform. I look at you talked about the environment. All of those things, we have environmental racism we got to address, right?
Yes.
We've got in criminal justice reform. So many people I think are confused about criminal justice reform because we want to focus on the police. And I understand that sometimes that there's a problem with the police, but focusing just on police is not holistic. Because if you only focus on the police and the police get everything right. So say for instance we take the police, they all across them, whether it's the state police, the sheriffs, the municipal, all of them, they say, you know what, we've been wrong, we're going to do it, and we got it right. But what happens with the prosecutors? What happens with the judges? What happens with the sentences? What happens with the prison industrial complex, right? So with the wardens and the correction officers, what happens happens with parole and probation. We've got to be holistic about it and talk about all those things from the ground up, from scratch. Then we have a much better way of doing it. So with regard to the police, we need better training. You know, I think that we need more policing who live in the municipality.
I agree with that.
And so you know, and it was that came. They had part of that once before, with, you know, your where they could buy homes, but the loophole in that was that people could buy it and they would go on and somebody else would be living there. So we need to have people who are actually living in a neighborhood, because that engenders the energy and spirit, so that you know that something that's going on is your neighbor. Right. If something's going on, that it may be your kid at the school. Right. So that there you have a different level of ownership of what's going on, and you have the less. It doesn't mean we won't have folks who do things negatively towards people, but you have a better chance of a better reality. And I think that officers in training. When I was a kid, I went through what do you call it? I was a LAPD explorer, and so I went through. You know, we had training as a police officer. My grandfather was a sheriff. My aunt, my uncle. I had lots of family who was in the police, who were police, and so I went through that training. I mean, that wasn't where I was wanting to go, but I thought it was good. It helped me keep me off the streets and everything else. But the thing is that the training is too short. They don't have enough psychological training. I think they need to have the equivalent to a bachelor's degree to become
sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training. Yeah. They need training, cultural understanding. They need racial understanding. They need gender understanding. They need understanding about how to address people who have mental challenges. Right. And so that I think that if they had, you know, to take 5 or 6 classes in psychology and 4 or 5 classes in sociology, I think they would be better equipped. Right, because I mean, I teach sociology. I've been teaching it for 20 years, and so then when you think about what that means, I think that we look at the world differently because we have that sociological understanding. That psychology helps you understand the mind, and the sociology helps you understand the world. So if you don't understand either of those, and you come in and you just see somebody coming at you, and you think X, Y, and Z about what your past was, then you're imposing this other reality on the people who are there, and we've got to so we got to be able to unravel that, right? We got to disrupt that.
I like that, and that's another show right
Sounds
there.
Good, yeah.
I would love to do a show, you know, about police relations with the community, and have community and somebody represent police and talk about it, because that's something that needs to be had, and there's a lot of work to do in our community, you know, in terms of reaching, you know, that bridging that type of relationship. I mean, with the tensions right now, it's going to be tough, but I mean, like, it's something that we need to talk about, something that we need to put on the airwaves out there so that people can see it and be inspired by it at least. You know, and you're a very powerful brother. You know a lot of information. I really like the way your mind is, and what makes it even more important for me and for those who's looking right now, I'm sure you feel the same way. This is a brother from our communities. He's not only he went to college, he educated himself, he traveled, he educated himself through that way and acclimated himself to a world that he grew up in as a black man in this country. And he knows the experience by living and knows the experience by researching, studying, and becoming a doctor in what he knows about socializing. So it's just an honor, you know, to have you, because you are in the community. Like I showed that video, I was marching and I didn't realize that I was going to have a show with you during that point. But when I realized, I said, hey, I was filming. I wasn't really trying to get you. You just happened to be behind me. And I was lift the camera. I said, hey, wait a minute. He was right behind me. Let me put that in the video because you're in the community. I'm a community person. I did community work for over, 25 years. And every time I'm out there, since I've been in New Jersey, I bump into you. People who are in the community see each other. So when you're running, nobody can say, I've never seen him in the community. You know how they say, he just come around, shake hands for votes, but you've been in the community. People know you in the community. You're out there on your time off, marching, being involved, creating different things. And I want to start being a part of some of your stuff too. So when y'all look for some of Dr. Khalfani stuff, y'all can look on Community Vibe, because I'm going to be posting some of his stuff you want people to come to. I want to support your efforts and everything you're doing. But we winding down to the end of this show.
Definitely.
And I just want to thank you. If you have any last thing you want to say to people who are watching.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say I used to be a DJ also. So I was.
I got a
Hey,
DJ.
we're gonna get that song. We're gonna get that song.
I got a
for real.
producer and I got a DJ.
That's right. I was on radio for 4 years, had a show.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was
Yeah, we're
fun.
gonna definitely get that song.
Yes. Okay. We got to do a song.
There you go. But I want the people to know that, that it's not about Akil Khalfani. It's not about me. It's about we. And I understand that this process may put some people in a strange position because they don't believe that there can possibly be change. But there is change possible. And I think that that's why we came with this slogan that we are the change. When we work together, we can do things. We can move mountains.
We are the change.
And when we think about it that way, the other piece that we have to do and have to think about is that what pyramids are we building? We built pyramids back in the day, but what pyramids are we building today? What is our legacy for the generation that comes 100 years, 1,000 years from now? What are they going to say about us in New Jersey? And I'm here to say that we are going to set the tone for that change.
Hey.
And that tone that we're setting, this is a piece of it. So me getting here is bringing the family with us in so that we can really be about and do some things that are powerful.
Yes.
And there's no going back. There's this whole thing, Sankofa. Sankofa is a Ghanaian word. It means to go back and get with that which, it's okay to go back and get that which you've forgotten.
Sankofa.
So we got to go
Yes.
back and get it so that we can move forward and carve out a new reality.
Give him a round of applause for that. That thing went all through went back to my grandmama. Woo! I couldn't even said that better myself. My goodness, Ashe. That's what I'm talking about. We can't give up. We got to go back. It's like riding a bicycle. You fall off, you get back on until we balance ourselves and make change and make difference. So you need to be a part of the change that you want to see. Superman does not exist. The Black Panther is not coming to save you. These are shows, movies, and I know we're looking for this one superhero, but we have a good brother here that need you to back him. He needs you to figure out who he is and what he's doing as he's laid out before you. Some great things for us in the community, but we got to get involved. You got to get involved. So we're going to end the show right now, but please make sure you tune in to our shows. We are on every second Thursday of the month, and Community Vibes with Brown Eyes is produced by myself and my co-producer, Kirsten Fulda. We're recording here at Bravery Studio. Shout out to Marvin, our great engineer that makes us sound good. And we're going to be back. So if you want to support this show, please share this video. Share this video. I'm sure there's so many people in your family, your friends that need to know this information. It's very pertinent and important, and you can get involved. So please share. Please subscribe to our page, and please like the video. And so I'm going to leave out with a song by King T Finesse and myself called Just to Know You, because we want to know people like Dr. Akil Khalfani, and we want to know the causes and the things that we could get involved in how. So I want to get to know you, and you need to get to know us so that we can all get together and create what we need for change. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.